In 1987, Douglas Wakiihuri made history as the first Kenyan to win gold in the marathon at the World Athletics Championships. He won silver at the 1988 Olympics and gold at the Commonwealth Games and conquered the London and New York City marathons. Beyond his achievements, Wakiihuri continues to embody wellness and creativity. From inspiring future athletes to mentoring, coaching recreational runners, and curating races to exploring music and fashion, Wakiihuri is a trailblazing legend. In this episode, Douglas and I delve into making music, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, honoring our heroes, creating an active fashion line, and Kenya's athletic heritage. This is Words on Wellness with Kenyan poet. Karibu sana, Douglas Wakiihuri. It's a pleasure to have you in studio for this episode. Karibu sana. I'm really honored to have you here. I don't know if you remember how this began.
Yes, first, thank you very much for the invitation. I think it began at Nyayo Stadium when we met the first time and we were cheering, and then the talking rolled over to many things. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think one of the things that I kept telling you that day we met, I think it was during it was a trials.
National trials.
The national trials.
Yes.
And you had a very interesting outfit. I was hoping you'd wear it today, but I know it was going through several changes.
Yeah, you'll still see the best of it at some point. That was the first sample I did.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it does pinch me on my legs, so I'm trying to adjust the zip and stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's something that I'm looking forward to brand myself as a Kenyan, or rather an African,
mm-hmm.
rather than branding myself like a Westerner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because I loved how colorful the outfit was. I think I'm not the only one who commented on that.
A lot of people did comment on that outfit.
There were a lot of people who came to you and told you look really good, and to realize that it is it's something within your fashion line.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Where did that idea and the idea of coming up with a fashion line, not just for casual wear, because that outfit, I think from what you told me, it's meant to be active wear. That's something you train in, right?
Yes, and probably I could double it. I look at it in different ways, because I am a sportsman, a runner basically. And I look at it in the. I also love the hood culture.
Mm-hmm.
Those, like the hood. If you live in Langata, for example, you have the 1-5. So our book starts in chapter 15. The next chapter is 30. So if you live in 58,
yes.
Again, it's like that. So that culture, I also love it, and I want to incorporate in that. Mm-hmm. But the whole idea came up as an athlete. For the last probably 35 years, I've been running with a brand from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And as you succeed, as you get onto the podium, you have very few places to achieve, because the dream was to be on the podium. So now, 87, I won the first gold medal for Kenya for the marathon in Rome, Italy. Mm-hmm. And of course, the late President Moi was there. So that was, again, a big milestone. So that was my first dream come true.
Mm-hmm. Did you know he was in the audience?
I didn't until the last time I was, because I was just entering the stadium, mm-hmm. and I could see the commotion on the other side when the Kenyan delegation was trying to figure out where he's going to be, because he never was on the dais. So he actually sat on the bench. He just stood on the bench because he was not
mm-hmm.
part of that particular event. So he just came in, yeah. And having gone up there now, you have very few slots. The next one was the Olympics,
mm-hmm.
and then of course the Commonwealth Games, and then maybe I think I won New York. So those dream spaces become mm-hmm. very scarce, few for you to achieve. And once you achieve them, you have no place to go. So the apparel company does not see the need for you.
Oh, wow.
So what happens then is that you need to figure out what to do after that. And that is how the idea came up. I said, let me brand myself. Mm-hmm. I don't have to keep on wearing other brands while I can brand myself. And from here and to whenever I leave, it is not that I am trying to achieve anything bigger. I want to appreciate my dream and also help the young ones who are coming up, branding them and feel at least good before they leave for other brands, which probably basically they will come back home after some time.
Okay. Now, the reason why I thought we would start with the branding bit is because it's something that I've started getting into the space.
Yeah.
And for me, well, I'm passionate about athletics and the work that I've been doing with writing and motivational quotes and just finding different ways of expressing my poetry in apparel. So that's that's why I had a lot of interest in your apparel company. Because and one of the things that you've mentioned that I didn't realize is that the brands out there don't know what to do with you once you've once they're done with you.
Yes.
So you have to, it's something that you have to figure it out.
It's not the brands alone, even the nation itself, the country.
Oh wow.
It is now for you to make yourself available, contribute where you can for you to be relevant. Yeah.
Yes.
If you look at back now from let's say for example when we started winning 1968. All those world champions and Olympic champions are still there, all right? So, and also the other concept would be probably, it is a very tight space, the way I look at it, because we as sports people brand this country with our life. But it is very little which is ever done if it has to be done. The country does very good because it does recognize us, but the federations do not take that space to brand us. The only time they do that, it's when our life is gone. That's when they decorate us. That's why I'm saying it's a very tight spot, and that needs to change. I do not believe that I will be the happiest person not to know how I was decorated. You understand? Decorate me when I'm still living.
Yes,
and that part of decoration, that part of decoration
Yes.
is what I want to decorate myself while I'm still around, and decorate others when they're still around, so that they can at least feel that, yes, Douglas was part of my life.
And your name stood for something.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it will have a meaning for the young and upcoming athletes, because if you look at our country, we basically do not focus the inside. We focus, okay, the big companies do a very good job for us, but then it does not translate to us as a Kenya by itself, all right? We try to do bits and pieces. We bring medals to this country. The country appreciates that, claps for you. But then what next?
After that.
We don't have a museum where we can go and visit. The young people can come and visit. We are not in celebrations, which we need. I'm not sending a negative message. I'm just telling you the way things should not be and should be
And the
done.
way things are
You're calling me
at the
here
moment,
not
yes.
because I'm Douglas. Of course, because of my decorations and what I've achieved in life and what you think I've done for this country. You are, as a single person, is recognizing that. If 10, 100, 1 million people do the same thing, I think Kenya would be in a very, very spacious place for the young and upcoming.
I completely agree with that. And there's something that you've said, there are two things that you've touched on and I don't want to forget. First, the museum. Why we don't have an athletics museum or even a sports museum. And I remember, I think it was last year, Larry Madowo had gone for the Berlin Marathon.
Yes.
And Berlin Marathon had specifically put together, although it was a temporary one, they had put together a temporary museum for the opening of the Berlin Marathon.
Yes.
And 90% of those who were being honored or who were featured at the museum, guess who they were?
Kenyans,
Exactly.
no one else.
So now Larry was asking a question. And he took us around because he was at the at the marathon. He took videos, and during when he was taking the video, he asked, I'm here in a foreign country and seeing the achievements of our people. Why don't we have this in our home country?
Exactly.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that because we get a lot of, Kenya has been able to receive a lot of recognition, particularly athletics. Yes, there are various other sports, but particularly athletics. But then that does not translate to the ground. And I think one of the, there's an article that I wrote some time back talking about Kenya is not, someone coming from out there into the country and has heard all these good things about Kenya. Kenya is a country of runners, and so they expect when they land at JKIA,
everybody running, like everybody's running, and say, no, there's nobody running in Kenya.
Kenya. So what I was saying in my article is that, unlike what most people think, Kenya is not a country of runners.
No. But we are there because we do post them, and we are seen in the world, and it has become, I think it should be one of the big six in this country.
So why do you think there's that disconnect from the global PR that Kenya enjoys on the international scene of Kenya is a country of runners and all these running, winners, and coming to Kenya and realizing that most of them are just in certain regions only?
I think, number one, let me look at you now as a single person.
Yes.
You are not a runner, but you're crazy about runner because simply you are a Kenyan. Mm-hmm. All right?
Yes.
I guess I would push this to the federation officials that probably do not have a department that should take care of that. Mm-hmm. Because I want to believe that every country has a department that takes care of even commendations. Mm-hmm. Those people who do very good for the country. But the saddest part is that we are not among them. So it is not the country. I cannot say it's something to do with the country. It is just the officials who are responsible to give the country and let the country know who are supposed to be recommended and for what reason they have to be recommended. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you cannot proclaim. Yes. You can't proclaim yourself, that push your name and, okay, there's public participation. Yes. So that part doesn't know. But it brings also a lot of criticism when we fail, because everybody is so passionate about the whole country. So why is just these few offices are never passionate about this one? And I think when that change will take place, we just seen the recent one, our beautiful girl who just left us. Yes. And you can imagine. It really made me very sad to just have a look and see what they have done, rather than what they should have done before that happens.
Okay, who are we talking about?
We're talking about Wanja.
All right.
Yeah, the volleyball queen.
All right.
She has done superbly, represented this country with all the problems that she has. It is always very sad to see such a scenario, which not the country. It is the federation that took the mandate of decorating her after, which they should have done before.
Yes. Should have been recognized.
And that's why I keep saying that we decorate this country with our life. So if there is any decoration that has to be done, let it be done before we close our eyes.
Yes, and coming back to that, and I'm glad that you've brought us back to that. Now, you're very passionate about that, and there's an interview that I think you did with the Olympic Committee, and you talked about providing better pathways for elite athletes once they retire from competitive sport. What are some of those better pathways that you yourself you've pursued, and some of the ones that you see that can be done not just by the retired athletes themselves, but by various support systems that can come in place?
I think what probably I have done over time is that I have put myself in a position whereby I'm available to those who wish to engage with me in different ways. I also do assist the Kibera Running Club, which I started a while back, probably in 2008, when I used to organize the Soto-Koto Safari Half Marathon. And what I did is that I gave to 50 kids, 25 boys, 25 girls, an opportunity to compete because informal sector is not catered in our normal system. Yes. So out of the 50, actually we got one young man now who is running in Netherlands. He's called Kevin. And he was running with the kids there. And 2012, he really developed, and now he's running for Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
That is a space that, and that is part of one of the really exciting space that I see. I did a contribution by just sponsoring these young kids. So talent is there, you know. So that is one. So I believe that each and every one of us, if we can have an association that we can work smoothly and do this kind of stuff and even help each other. We also have recreational running groups, and
Yes,
we have about
I'm a part
44.
of.
We are about 44 running clubs within Nairobi.
Yes.
And I think that is the same thing that we do, trying to help others and being there. Okay, recreational runners probably see us on TV. They never be close to you and run. But what I realized is that a recreational runner dreams to become like us, the elite. But we didn't know that we shall end up being a recreationals. So, I mean, we are setting space for each other. And I think that cross is quite important. So I also spent a huge time and space for recreational runners in advice, in just helping in physio and all that stuff to just make them feel comfortable and understanding that just being a recreational runner as a Kenyan running athlete, it does not ring that outside this country. It doesn't ring like that, because the best part is that Kenyans are known as runners. So whether you're a recreational runner or not, you must train just almost the same as an elite, because of what Kenya has, okay?
Yes, and when you go out there, you're representing the country.
Exactly. I mean, if you wear that T-shirt, Kenya, I mean, you don't know how many people you're messing their minds, because they are like, we have like 20 Kenyans in this race, so, you know. Yes. But when they beat you, they are very happy. They say, oh, I beat a Kenyan today, you know. So, and then the other thing is, I think, music. I'm also very keen in music. I started in 2000. In 2005, I went to Japan. And I had an agent, so I was more passionate about Japanese music, mixing Kenyan beats with Japanese lyrics. And 2005, I went to Japan. I performed. I was very, very new into music, and I tell you, it was just a different experience, but it was very good. So after 2 years, I decided, no, it's not working. Let me come back and work it out until I get my signature.
Right.
Yeah, so when I got my signature, now I have done Maasai, I've done Spanish, I've done Kikuyu, I've done Japanese, and that is the mix that I'm very, very keen to see how I can translate different things, different way of thoughts about running to different types of people, mixing their cultures. And then from music also, I have been involved within the government in World Athletics Under 18. I was assistant director for hospitality. And then that was 2017. And then 2020, I was now the director of logistics within the Under 20 for the World Athletics. So I was in charge of imports and exports, clearing and forwarding and all that stuff. What I was doing just to help the...
Yes, I think you mentioned that when we were doing one of the feature Throwback Thursday quotes about you. You mentioned that.
So I think those are some of the opportunities that I was given by our sports ministry.
Okay.
Because I think I'm good at that. I was good at that, and also now, apart from that, is I'm also a CFA member, which is a Community Forest Association member at the Ngong Road Forest. I am the one who started the trail runs.
At
clearing at the Ngong Road Forest.
Is this the Ngong?
The Ngong Road Forest, just here at Jamhuri.
Is that different from the Ngong Sanctuary?
The sanctuary, yes, it is the same.
It's good you've mentioned it. There's something that has been going on at the Ngong Sanctuary.
They are doing the perimeter wall now. So now you'll be able to run all the way. They are fencing it.
Then I think there needs to be a bit of. I think the government needs to be doing a lot more PR so that the public are sensitized on the things that are happening. Because we drove along that
and
route, and my husband was
somebody
like,
has grabbed.
They are grabbing this. They are grabbing this.
No, it is.
And there's nothing that we there's no uproar. So we were We're really concerned because quite a number of trees have been felled on that.
Yes, they have been felled. And, well, it is a good thing because if you look at it, basically it's all around the forest. So there has been a lot of incidents.
Yes, actually the place has been closed off. Sorry to cut you short, but there's a friend of mine who loves running at Ngong. She's a recreational runner, and she has always gone to the Ngong Forest Sanctuary. But then they were told the place has been completely closed off to either runners or cyclists because it's not safe for them to run there.
The issue is not being closed. You see what happens that normally we have scouts who are supposed to accompany you. But now when the runners get in there, they veer off the lines that are not supposed. Yeah, so you go out of the line. And when you go out of the line, if you are alone, then if something happens, then again, it's a problem for the CFA. But for us, who knows, go and ask for a scout. The scout will run with you all the way, but you do not have to get out of the line. You understand?
Yeah, because they are very designated routes trail rather to run.
We have very, very few scouts there. So hopefully if we can get probably more assistance and get more scouts to just man the route. But we are hoping that with this fence, things will be easier. Then hopefully they can have a vehicle. So you can arrange like a group running whereby we say if it's 6:30 because we can basically just enter there from 6 to 6:45 when there's light. Then you can now all of you just do the trail as you have the security,
And I hope it's going to be marked. Like the Karura,
we are going to mark it. We'll do marks.
I'm actually worried for Karura because everyone is always there every weekend.
The Karura one is for, I think, orientation. Because it's a bit complicated to figure out where, how, you need to really need that. But this one, we are going to mark it as for runners.
Okay.
And we have directional because we will mark also the hills and make it look nice for everyone because I think it will be a lovely thing. So that being it, and also of course I work with the Japanese embassy very well. I think 2012 they conferred me with the Order of the Rising Sun Gold and Silver Race.
That is the highest honor that one can be given.
Not the highest, but one of the highest. From His Majesty, Emperor of Japan, and I think that probably is the only part I never dreamt about.
You dreamt of everything else apart from that.
A dream has, until now, I used to know that a dream has one item. And I did not know it has accompaniments. Until it got there now, you can see a lot of. So, I mean, as you're asking me, this is what now most of us needs to do. You need to push yourself into a space whereby you can contribute because by you sitting at home, there's no added value you are getting on your end, and you're not helping.
That's very true.
Always, a champion has value when he is passing his knowledge to the young and upcoming champions, or you're contributing to the country. It does not matter how the country has looked at you, but it is what you have done for this country. And you cannot cut it short because you're not being looked after, because it will always be your home. It has been, engraved in your heart. You can't change it. So the only best way is to keep doing what you did because you never knew it will get this big. When we used to run, it was passion. And we were crazy people, right? They said we were crazy. Until the day you stand on the podium, and then it was like, that was not craziness.
This guy was on
something. It's not craziness. He knew what he was doing. I mean, we have dreams. So dreams sometimes are crazy from outside, but from inside. And once you stand on you get on the podium. I always think that, or I always look at the medal you earn as a very bright sun shining in front of your chest. Nobody ever looks what is behind it.
Oh, wow.
Because once you get down the stairs, number one is you have no guarantee of coming back. And you don't know how dark the tunnel is because you only have the gold shining in front of you, but you don't know,
how
dark
the
shadow it casting behind you.
Yes.
And that's part of our life now because it can be the brightest and yet it can be the darkest.
Yeah, that's profound because then that sort of informs and it helps me understand what has happened to a lot of our retired elite athletes who they were right up there with the sun, and then all of a sudden you don't hear of them anymore.
I think, number one, we shouldn't say retired.
Oh, you don't retire.
We don't retire.
Okay.
You know, if I ask you when a professor graduates, where does he retire?
No, they don't.
Same thing with us.
Okay.
So we are not retired. It's that we finished the school and we graduated.
You graduated. Now you're graduates.
So we need to be professors. Well, you see, now we are termed as retired. You know.
So then we should call you professors of
exactly
of
that. That is the title that needs to come up, because you feel very demoralized when you're retired.
Totally retired.
Yes. Well, you know you're not.
That's true.
Because you
can
still
be
have,
useful to society, but in a different capacity.
You are a champion. So a champion,
Yes.
that crown as a champion or a record holder must be upheld in every day of your life, but not being told that you're retired from activity. Everybody, then what happens then when life goes out?
Yes.
You don't say you're retired, you're gone,
true.
right? So
Yeah.
I think those are some of the titles that we need to have. We don't see ourselves being decorated with a doctorate. There are few who have managed to do that,
Yes.
which I don't understand why, because it should be uniform. They should be looking from 1968 to 1978, then 88, then 98.
Unfortunately, that has become quite political. So
No, it's not political. No, let me tell you. Because
it goes it sort of goes like with the wind of
maybe
times.
the system itself. Because I do not know if there is any Kenyan who does not pride himself or herself for what athletes have done for this country. We love this country to death. Yeah? We love it. And that's why some of us, I would have probably been a Japanese by now. I lived there for 6 years.
Why didn't you?
6 years.
You
Why
lived
should
there
I?
for so long.
Why should I?
And you know the language, you know the culture.
No. Why should I? I can't be a Japanese.
There are those who would say, I feel more respected there.
No.
And
let us look at something. If you can try to differentiate between black and white, what would you say is pure? If I ask you, black and white. There is not every color is pure in its form.
That's true.
Being a Kenyan, I'm pure Kenyan. And I'm not going to change that. I can get papers, yes, and become a different nationality, but I'm not. So why should I die for something I love so much that I went there, did something that was my dream, and then I capture this dream? Why should I change? Yeah, it's not me.
Yes, let's talk about Japan, because we are there. Now, there's a 1988 article that was done by The Vault where they talked about, and there's a quote, I'll just read it exactly the way that it was written, that there was another way of training in Japan. It was not only physical, but training mentally and spiritually. This is a quote from your trainer, then who talked about the kind of training that you were undergoing in Japan. So I wanted to know, what are some of the lessons and from your time in Japan that you still apply today, and especially touching on those three things, the kind of training that you went through both physically, mentally, and spiritually?
I think mentally, if you look at my background, was quite tough. So I was a bit strong.
Yes.
I didn't need to prepare for my mental, but I wanted hope and courage. Okay?
Yes.
Because in my life, I have never known my grandmother. I've never known my grandfather. I've never known my father. So I only know my mother.
Oh, wow. It goes that way back.
Yes. So for me, what I was looking for, even now, I look for elder people who can advise me because of what I've missed in my life. And when I got to Japan, is that I got my coach who now became like my father. All right? So for me, the mental toughness was not a problem because I could wash dishes and then, we were not washing from the tap. You used to, you go fetch water somewhere, carry it, come, get out, tafuta makonge and the sabuni, the kipande.
Yes.
Make the foam, then start. If it's scrubbing, was the steel wool, and you would wash it out there and then rinse it and all that. So I used to do that. I used to cook. I used to do. My mom used to be a prison warden, so I used to prepare her uniform for the warden before she goes, and then she used to make baskets so she can earn some extra money. So all that within the in-house, I used to wash the house. But before I left, I had actually taught my brothers how to cook. because I know I'm leaving, and I need them to know. So I started giving them a timing. I said, today it's you who are cooking, whether you're cooking right or not. But eventually they became very good. So when I went to Japan, I was caught in between now Kenyan and Japanese culture. But the only good thing that I understood from that age, I was 19 when I went to Japan, is that if this is what's going to take me to succeed, I have no choice. I have to go through it, regardless. Regardless.
At 19 years old, you must have been very mentally, like, not very many young people at 19 have their life figured out and knowing that I need to work for this for me to get what I want.
That's one. The second one is, the worst one is what people who think you are not good enough. And that is the reason why I was going out to prove to those guys who thought I'm not good enough. But the funniest part was the Japanese guy who he's late now. He's Mr. Kobayashi. He loved athletics. So he used to see me running. And he used to say, Douglas, you don't have talent, but you're determined. You are determined. You? Yes. No, he didn't. At least he could see something good in me. Leave this other guy is telling me I have nothing, I can't, I'm not going anywhere. So for me, it was to prove to these guys. So I didn't care. I had an uncle, my uncle, Wilson Waigwa, also was a very good runner, a miler and 1,500 meter. He went to El Paso, Texas, University of El Paso. Yes. And he also said if I run well, he will get me a scholarship. So I had two sides to choose. But now Japan came first. So when I went to Japan, I could not speak not a single Japanese. And I was just fascinated that this is what is going to change my life. So what did I do? I had decided, since I cannot become a Japanese, but I can lose 50% of being a Kenyan, so that I can get 50% of the Japanese into my life and make it 100. And that's exactly what I did. Until the day the coach said, I used to struggle to figure out, why am I not winning? Why am I not beating everyone? I used to struggle with that.
This is Words on Wellness with Kenyan poet.
But one day my coach said, if we coach this Kenyan boy, he's going to be very tough. And we might not even be able to beat. And I'm like, Atinini, there is a crack on the wall. Let me look for that crack. I tell you, that's where everything exploded. Yeah, so basically it was when the community looks on you and says you are not good enough, it is, you change that into your positive.
Yes, yeah, it becomes your fuel.
It becomes your fuel. And instead of getting angry to these people, push that anger into more productive and train hard, don't sleep, and make it happen. Because when it does, then everybody doesn't know who you are.
Wow. And it's good that it's interesting that you say that, because we see, your success story and with subsequent success stories from Eric Wainaina and Samuel Wanjiro. And it just got me wondering the kind of training and mental fortitude that you were, because when I look at the success, especially of the late Samuel Wanjiro, there are lots of similarities with the way that you came into running. I think even his story is the same. He was. He was from a not well-to-do family, and his talent was seen early, and he was trained. And just looking at that, and my focus on it is not just the physical training; it's also the mental and the spiritual. And I wanted you to touch a bit on the spiritual, because that's something that I'm really interested in. Because what I see is a lot of our focus on wellness can sometimes tend to be too much on the physical, not realizing that. And there's a quote your former coach was also also mentioned about these three aspects of you making you a whole individual. Yeah. I'd like you to talk about that a bit.
Number one is I think the first one is you have to understand the clock is round, the watch is round.
Yes.
and you have 24 hours. So every second ticks and it doesn't come back. Okay? So if you understand that you live within time, you then choose things that you need to do now and things that you need to do tomorrow. Okay? Then you start arranging yourself to that. What is it? Is it so important that you must do it today? Mm-hmm. The rest can leave and you just remove and put them back. Okay? So, as you said, Japan is very keen on time and planning. They are very good. Mm-hmm. They plan for you. It is not, they are not. We are not Japanese, but they take us as their Japanese, as their sons. Okay, and that one gives you really a peace of mind in even what you're doing. You focus, rather than people who are beating you and telling you that you'll not go anywhere. And we really need to change that attitude. Whoever you see struggling to do something, try and push him in the basket, plan with him, and push him forward. And then, of course, for me now, going to Japan in 1983, we were planning for 1988 Olympics. Those are how many years? You get it?
Yes.
That is something we don't do here.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we don't do here. Here we live by ear. Who is qualifying, but we do not, even leaders, we do not grow leaders for the next big generation. When we had the Olympics in Japan, 2020, they had put their 15 years old 5 years before the Olympics. 5 years. You have the 15, they come out there at they are 20 years old, challenging the Olympics. So they're the same system that I was putting, the same system that Wanjiro went through, but it was a kind of experimental training because their system is very good, but their physical part of it is a bit different. Yeah, and then the other thing I think you need to look into is that we have a lot of knowledge that has not been practiced. Mm-hmm. Running or any sport, it's more about practical part of it. I am a practitioner. I'm not a theory person. Yes. Don't tell me, I think you can do. No. Let's go on the ground and try to do what you're trying to tell me. Then see how that will work. Yes. So for me, my dream was to go to the Olympics. The Japanese came with a formula, told me, if you do this, we are going to the Olympics. So why shouldn't I focus? Mm-hmm. This person has given me a solution. Mm-hmm. I had problems. I was struggling. Back here, people are telling me, no, you can't go to the Olympics. And I'm saying, no, I'm going to I don't know how I will go to. So these are the fights that you fight, the young people struggle with without a break and without a solution. And in life, don't tell somebody a reason. Give a reason and also give him a solution. Mm-hmm. That is how you're improving this person's life.
So there's something that you've said, and I laughed when you said that we plan year by year, and so then this begs the question: who is likely to take the mantle from Eliud Kipchoge? Who do you think, or maybe do you think we have someone, or maybe we don't know yet?
I don't think that we need to worry about that because if you go back to the history of Kenyan running, 1968 is when, okay, of course, we can start from 1960, I think 54. Mm-hmm. 1960 is when we had our first Olympian runner, Arab Kanoti. Mm-hmm. He's the one who represented Kenya in the 1960 Olympics. Oh, wow. Yeah, he was, I think, number 30-something. All right?
Yes.
After that, we have 1968. We had our first winnings in the 1968. Mm-hmm. So how many years did we get to come back to another winning? Look at it, 20 years. Yes. That is when? Mm-hmm. 20 years would be from 1968.
From 1968.
Yes.
That is, 1980? 8, yes.
That's when we
came. That was you.
That's when we came up. Okay?
What is it about the number 8?
No. Mm-hmm. It's 20 years. It is 20 years.
So it
is 20 years. Look, yes.
20 years.
Now, look, from now, 88, another 20 years. That was what? 2008.
Yes.
Right?
And who did
in Beijing, Wanjiro, winning the first gold medal.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yes.
So that is the cycle. So if Eliud fades today, so the next, we are going to get another one in the next 20 years.
I'm doing the maths.
Yes, definitely.
So we have 2028.
Yes, we must. There's somebody who's going to come out. We already have Wanyonyi is coming out now, who is running the 800 meters.
Yes. Or you think he will transition into
Yeah.
long distance?
But take the maths again and look at the 800 meters, the evolution of 800 meters, how it works. But for Kenya, I think 20-year cycle is what is working. You know,
wow.
Yes. So if you
that is so fascinating,
isn't it? To just figure out and see, and some of these are just questions that you ask yourself. Like for example, we've never won 10,000 meters since 1968. We have never won in the Olympics.
Oh,
we have never won. So why?
Why is that?
It's because basically the road racing are paying more than the 10,000. The rules have become more strict in the 10,000 than. You can't make a living on the track now. Young people are all running to the road racing. By the time they realize, so the passion of running for the country probably is not as high as it was with us. We are more passionate running for this country. Okay, so we believe there's going to be a super coming athlete from Kenya who is going to probably reduce the timing for Eliud, though he has no option. Whoever that person is,
they have no
option, unless you do it. And a champion is always a champion once he wins. If he doesn't win, he doesn't become a champion.
That's true.
It becomes very, very different.
That's true.
So, but the way I would love it happen is a formal race, not in a prepared scientific way of running. Let it be done naturally on a race and get the boys struggle, fight each other until they see who is the best. And that would probably be one of the best races the world will ever see.
And how do you think Athletics Kenya or Kenya generally would need to do to mold its next elite marathoners? What is it that they need to do so that, I don't know, in 2028 we can have the next, or just generally the level of training of just generally molding the next generation of elite training athletes?
Let me give you my example.
Yes.
Yeah? I looked for this piece by myself. Nobody. Through friends or through people who are passionate about running.
Yes.
I went to Japan. I struggled by myself, but I came back to run for this country. The day the federation will start thinking that way, probably we'll get better runners. That is why you find athletes go out there by their own and they don't feel like running for this country, because it is a personal journey. And you go through a lot. And when you win, the whole country celebrates. And then who takes the credit? There you go. So I think if that changes, we are going to see a much more Kenya talent. We are going to see so many. Okay, let me give you an example. You have now, for example, we're having the London Marathon next year, which is going to be very hot. Yeah?
Yes, which I'm going to ask you about.
But it's about 35 to 60,000 runners, right? And it is only one person who's going to win there. Does that make 60,000 runners go on running the next day?
Of course, they will continue running.
Some of them, right?
Yes.
But not 60,000.
Not 60,000.
I'm saying the spectators. You won't get plus 60 running there next day because one athlete has done. But in Kenya, one athlete win gold medal, it makes the whole country go crazy.
Yes, it becomes,
it
the whole country comes to a standstill. I know on that
public
day,
issue.
it is in April. April, the whole country will come to a standstill as we watch.
Yeah, so you need to look at all those things. And that's why when you try to say that Kenya has talent, yes, it has a big basket for talent, but they're not taken care of. We look at it as personal contribution. Personal journeys that we have done. We have looked for it ourselves, and we have gone and we have come back to put this country into place. And yet, people who are supposed to take care of us, they don't. They see us and they say, "Oh, we are so many." They say, "Oh, we know we can't take care of." I mean, which mother in this world make noise because of having so many good children who are successful? You should be proud of yourself and say, "Look, I'm a mother. I see some guys who have like 32 wives and say that I have 200 kids and they all display them." That is what our offices needs to do. They need to be proud of us. They need to showcase us. Yeah, they need to show the world what we have done for this country as a federation, that is what its value is. It is not you just saying no at everything and complaining. You know, the whole world is looking for half of what Kenya has.
That's
you
very
can imagine
true.
if you were in Uganda, what the president would say today. He was like, put everybody, say oh, this side and this side, you can say this. This is gold medals. You know, be proud. So we really need to change that attitude of just being a self. And it is so funny that Kenya is one, flag is one, we are one people at that point. But somebody somewhere shakes the country and we all go berserk. We start fighting each other, you know?
Yes.
So we need that unity of being a Kenyan, wherever you come from. And we also need to help these other areas that are not producing athletes. Yeah, we need to help them to produce. It is so good when a different area somebody qualifies for the Olympics.
Oh, yes.
That means so much for that community.
Because then that tells you that the talent is not just in one region.
Yes.
It also tells you that if there were resources that would be put in place, these other regions would also come up. And I think when you're talking about that, I remembered that we suddenly have a lot of talent coming from Ukambani, which is a region that we never thought would produce athletes, and not just athletes, but people who are competing in the national stage. And I'm seeing that we have Alexander Munyao who will be competing, in the men's category.
He won last time,
and he won. And we also have this lady who changed nationality.
Yes, Eve. She's called Ivy.
Is it? It's Ivy.
Yes,
and she's
Ivy
also from Kamani, but she trains here.
Yeah,
and she trains here. And so just looking at. So I've seen an uptake of running for fitness, being one in that space myself, having taken up running some years back for fitness. I've seen that trend grow. And for the first time last year, the Stanchart Marathon had to close its registration, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, because they had capped their numbers at 25,000.
Yes.
And that tells you something, that there's an interest in that. There's an interest in running as a form of fitness. So my question is, what will it take for Kenya to reach the status of the New York Marathon, the Boston Marathon, registering 50,000 participants and things like that? What needs to happen?
If you look at I will not talk about the races that we have. I will always look at the informal sector. How much does the informal sector participate? Very little.
Very little.
You understand now?
So there's a danger of the sport being termed as elitist.
Yeah, and especially when we term it as we see areas that are going to develop. Now the talent that is coming in is from the undeveloped areas because it's where things are still raw. Kids are running to school and all that stuff. They are eating fresh stuff. Huh? Yes. So we have a very good raw basket there. Now, if this area develops, they get a school bus. The other day we were just discussing. We say, let's one area gets a school bus, the talent now is done because people don't walk, people don't run.
That children should not get school bus?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying as much as they are going to get school bus, let us tap that talent and bring more closer fields, for them and give them coaches for them to be assisted. It's the same thing I was telling you. It is just my own initiative. How do we scout our talent? We don't scout unless it comes to some village where there's a runner or somebody heard about it. Then somebody pushes that particular talent to bring to Nairobi, whereby he can run and then go back, and then everybody can clap. So what we are saying is that we must now start focusing on the rural areas and tap that talent and make facilities for those people to start training and understand that training can be done within this development space. All right? And then after that, because basically what happens is that if you look at stadiums that we have, probably they are very few. How many rural people access the stadiums? We always have that. Even today, you have one girl from some school, barefoot, with a skirt, coming to compete. Today. This girl has never competed on a track field. So when she competes, of course, she runs and wins and it becomes another story. But what we are saying is, let's put all this knowledge back to the rurals so that instead of us meeting them by accident, we actually harvest them and help
becomes
them to go
intentional.
school,
Yes.
let them help pay for their school, and push them forward and see if they become future champions. If you look at the narration that is there within the cities, it is very different from the rural. We talk about what 2030, yeah? We have what water. 2030, we have what electricity. Where did we say that 2030 rural must produce champions? No, we don't. So it is only that one very passionate teacher who actually dedicates his life or her life to actually try and keep the talent running so that it doesn't go to waste, hoping that one day somebody will come and pick this particular young boy or girl and bring him to Nairobi to be seen by the rest of the Kenyans.
Yes.
Yeah, and there are so many good stories that have come out of that. But we are saying, of to date, basically that's what our officers should be doing. Going to the rural, pushing in the stop fighting people who are already developing talent, yeah. But go back to the rural and set up your offices there, rural offices to talent and also it is very simple. You get a range. Like if I have a good, like now we know St. Patrick Tennis has a good school. It has produced very good runners.
Yes.
Take a 30 or 50 kilometers range, all the schools around there, tap that talent, bring them to St. Patrick's. We have a coach there. That's done. Go to another section. Do the same thing.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. And then, I mean, things will be just normal.
It's not really complicated.
No, it's not. It's not.
Wow.
And we also hope that we are going to see runners from the coast, runners from Nyanza, runners from Northeastern. We've had some who are very good in Northeastern.
Kenya, even the coastal region has produced, I remember he's called Temu.
Yeah,
has produced,
yes.
Athletes who have competed on world stages and even won in the past.
Yes.
So we're not short of talent. Whichever region you pick on the map.
Let me tell you, talent is always there. But talent is like a tick on a cow. But you need the cow, strong foundation, to develop that talent. That is what we need. Yeah? And we can keep, and that's what I keep saying. We have all the knowledge. We go to TVs and discuss and talk about what we have done, but yet, uko mashinani, kids are jumping with what? Sticks. Right?
Yes.
Why do we allow that to happen? And then we expect them to come and perform at what? A national level? It's the standard. I mean, that's double standard. If you expect the rural to come and do, whether they are under 18, whether they are under, and of course the other part also, we need to develop the young kids, the under 10, under 11, under 12. We need to give those kids an opportunity to come and compete. We need to organize their events for them to participate. Because you could see a parent has a child who is probably 9 years old, but he has no event, nowhere to compete. So those are some of now the things that we say. As much as we are trying to say we are good, we are not. And that's where we are losing ground.
Wow.
So we should start from the ground. That's what they say. When we are doing voting, we start from the grassroots.
Start from the grassroots.
But when you're doing sports, we don't start from grassroots.
No, we want them up here.
We come here under 20s, then we come seniors, and then we go to the elites. And then, of course, if they pass there, they now come back to us to recreational running.
So I want us to end on a good note, on a happy note. Now, you mentioned the 45th edition of the London Marathon, which will be happening, and it is one that it's going to be I think someone said it's going to be the clash of the titans. Now, as someone who has competed, as an athlete who has competed in the 80s, and you actually won in the London Marathon in the 80s. Which year was that?
89.
89.
Yes.
I don't want to say how old I was then. So will you be at the London Marathon or where will you be watching it from? And so that's the first question. Then who are your favorites in the men and the women race?
I think for me now, what is left is not actually to spend all that money to go to London. I would rather be here spending time with the young kids who probably will become the next London champions. That is very, very precious to me. And having won London, I know that their determination, their courage, and their spirits will be much, much stronger because of me standing by them and assisting them to do one or two of the other things. I really don't know whether bet is the best thing to do. because I think it's just probably for me what I like most is that is a challenge that is there, the technique that whoever is going to win is going to use, because over time we've seen races that they have pacemakers. So the pacemaking does not allow competition because you do not pacemake for everyone. If you have 100 elites, you'll never pacemake for the 100 elites. You only pacemake for one particular athlete, which is very, very unfair to the other competitors. Yes. So it should be a free and fair competition whereby let those titans themselves without pacemakers fight for themselves. Yeah, we don't need pacemakers.
You're not worried it's going to be a slow race if there are no pacemakers?
No, if the titans are there, there's no way it's going to be slow. So why do we need the pacemakers? You understand?
Yes.
If the pacemakers must be there, they must be there for all the 100 elites, which probably is impossible.
It's not practical.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that you look in a race and look at, is it interesting or not? And I remember when Gebele Selassie was beaten in Berlin, I think Macau was still worried with not knowing that time has come for him to. But when he realized, got the time, he just took off, and then he could see the gap opening, and he was like, Allah, so this thing can happen. Yeah. So there are those sections of the race that make it interesting as a marathon. And we need to come back to the traditional marathon running because as much as we have under 2 hours, it has not been run in a formal setting.
That's true.
That's a scientific setting. So let them come and let the prize money be put and said, anyone who breaks 2 hours in a formal setting, this is what it's going to be. That is going to be an interesting race.
Oh, yes.
That is going to be a very, very interesting race.
Very
and I
true.
believe because that means that no one is favored. But when you set up the pacemaking, it is only known for some. So what happens to the others?
I never looked at it. And coming to think of it, your time, there was no pacemaking.
No, we had no
pacers,
pacemaking. Yeah, we just did. And I did 209. I was probably number 3 in the world then. At 209, it was good. The race was very good because it was very, very, it was tactical, but we never ran fast times. I bet times has changed, which is still good for them to run. But you were saying about the mantle of Eliud.
Yes.
If you look at in the top 200 marathon runners, they're all Kenyans. So I don't know.
Yes.
They are Kenyans. Yeah, the top 200 are all Kenyans, most of them.
Yes.
Very few probably Ethiopians in between.
A few Ethiopians.
You understand?
Yes.
So I don't know what else you are looking for because we already have field. We have about 200 of them. Yeah, and of course we lost the very good one. Our Hope, who thought, I hope he's in a good place wherever he is and his heart is still running around, because that's what he loves to do. Yeah. And we'll keep remembering him because he has done great. And this is what I was telling you our earlier about decoration. Yes, we need a monument for him. We need a place where we can go and put flowers for him in his respect. And, this is what I was telling you, that we need to put things together.
Yes.
When such things happens, that everybody as a Kenyan has the same spirit when they watch him winning Chicago.
Oh, yes. I completely agree with you on that. I'm all for having a museum, and the storyteller in me is just saying I would love to, be part of that curation, to just go into the archives, get the history of all these Olympians, all these athletes, and just be able to have a physical place where everyone can come and celebrate and the achievements that you have all been able to bring this country, because you've brought this country a lot of glory.
And I think also on the other spot is the Ministry of Education also needs to put us in history books. We are not read by our kids. I have 3 children in school, you find a small kid, he knows Ronaldo stuff out and, in and out. But we are here, Eliud is here, he's not in the history books. So actually, you don't even understand why all this, and the question comes back again to us. As I said, it is the officers who are supposed to put these things in place. Yeah, because we can't go and put it ourselves. You write a book and say, oh, that's Douglas, that's his book. Yes. It is not history, it doesn't become history. So basically, those are some of the decorations that need to be done within the time that we are there. And the kids can see us. We are called. They are shown, this is Douglas. So they ask questions. Say, oh, okay, when you are running, what were you thinking? Like, why do you have to run 42? Why can't you run 1 kilometer? You know, those kids will ask you very interesting questions.
Yes, you're like, I've never been asked that question before.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you're right that, you know, our ministry, even of education, needs to do better so that the stories that our children are reading are about, you know, their local heroes, not the child being able to tell you everything about Ronaldo and
exactly.
and I don't know, and I'm forgetting the others because
There's
my
so
children
many.
talk about LeBron James so much.
Yes, the basketball.
Basketball. They know all those international heroes, but when you ask them, do you know Douglas Wakiihuri? They're like, who is that?
What did he do?
What did he do?
Then the other thing is, you see, when we win all these races, we get a diploma. All right?
Yes.
And this diploma does not count in this country. Yeah? But, you know,
Yes.
so it need to be, it's called authentication.
Yes. To authenticate.
To authenticate it.
Yes.
So that it can have value in my life or be able to sustain me in one way or another.
Yes.
Yet the gold medal or any medal, bronze, silver, and bronze, does count for this country. And even you are remunerated for it. But the diploma is sitting just there as a photo on the wall. So these are some of the things we are saying that for us, being an Olympian or a world champion, a record holder, you are given a diploma into that because they recognize that. So it is equally the same. The country also takes up and says, all the universities says, if you have had a medal in a global event, which is the University of Events, you should be decorated in one or two things. And that will change everything from the young people who are looking at us. Yes.
I hope I don't mean to put him on the spot, but I know that the Strathmore Business School is putting together something around sports, and my husband is handling that, and I'm hoping that he will watch this and Strathmore can be one of the universities that is able to confer something like that on athletes, because I think from what you've said is that I don't know of a university, institution of higher learning that has a dedicated, I think this is the time that they're coming up, sports, study of sports marketing, and not just that, but being able to recognize and giving better recognition for athletes who have been able to achieve so much. So I haven't seen that, and it's something that I'm hoping our universities can be able to do that, can be able to take that.
And you know, also sports is under it's the physiology.
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Which is very difficult to get.
I think because it's a physical education.
No. It's a faculty of physiology. Oh. Yes, that's where we are in.
Oh, okay.
So, and we are not doctors. All right, we are sports people. When you come to the faculty of physiology, it means you have to do some doctoral learning, right? You understand now?
I understand.
There's a need to separate that and find a way, to just allow us, because it does score in the national grid. It does score.
Yes, I do think that is going to change, because now, as you were talking, I've just remembered that the CBC curriculum he has introduced, because all my children are in the CBC curriculum, and our firstborn daughter is going to be in the first lot of the CBC, and they brought in something called the pathways, and now children can be able to pick their pathways from as low as I think grade 10 is when they start picking, and now they have they have sort of created all these different pathways that lead to careers based on, are you strong in STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Then there is one that is very much leaning on sports. And so if we will have children who are not going to pick that pathway, then there will need to be universities that are fully dedicated to that.
There you go.
So there's hope.
So that is what we are saying.
Horizon.
We are also equally saying that the diplomas that we have earned can be recognized.
Yes. So that's a good place to start.
In the same process, so that we can feel good about what we have done for this country. And also we can feel appreciated because we have so many certificates. lying in our houses, or probably maybe before sometime maybe some of us can create our own museums, if we can't get so that at least people can come. My medal just came back from Ireland the other day. I had rented it there.
Oh,
so it was being viewed by 2,000 guests every day for the last I think 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Yes, and here it just sits in the house. So those are some of the good things that can happen and need to happen for us sports people to appreciate our great effort that we have pushed this country into the national anthems. And of course, there are other areas whereby we also think that we need to be looked into, especially like the taxi area. I would probably ask a taxman to quantify the national anthem that being played for every gold medal out there. What is the value of it? Yeah, and in that regard, probably we be looked in a more softly because of that value, if it's quantified, to bring value to this country. Yes, it's an added value.
Yes, it
Isn't
is.
it?
Definitely.
You can imagine. Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think our time is up, but thank you so much. And I'm really happy that we've been able to talk about so much. And I really thank you for your time. And I hope that this post and this episode is an appreciation of you and your work and what you continue to do, and also advocating for professional athletes. We will not say they are retired.
They're not retired. Yes, they're just above the school. They have finished their job.
Yes.
Yeah, and they need to be looked in a different way. And of course, thank you very much. And I believe that let each and every one of us who appreciates sports do the same thing. Call us when you can. Don't wait until when we are gone is when you're looking for us.
Yes,
and I think because that is just one simple thing that can be done. You don't have to do a lot, but just make that call when you can do it.
Yes, and I think for me the most important bit is that I've been able to, I'm passionate about storytelling, and I have been able to get your story because, yes, I might have read articles, but what we've been able to get here is not something that, has been, the story has not been told. The way that you've told it today is different from the way that you've, told it elsewhere. And we need to hear more stories of ourselves.
Definitely, yes, we do.
Yes, we never tire from
each and every runner has a different story. Like from how you became, what you used to eat, how you used to eat. There are so many interesting stories and what we used to do. And, and I believe it's the same thing that need to be told to kids to school. Yeah. Yes. I see out there's a lot of celebrities who work with children in schools. And that probably platform should be also applied here. And we be telling our stories. Yes. Yeah.
All right. That's a good note to finish on.
Thank you
so much.